Hi, Islamic Dad here. If you enjoy this channel, please subscribe. It helps me out a lot. Today I'm going to do probably a short video on something that I came across on one of the other people or other persons that studies narcissism and has a channel of their own. The person goes by Michelle Secret One, the number one, on Instagram. She has a presence there, but her main presence is on TikTok. And I really like her stuff, but she did a video today that just kind of blew me awake. And it's one of those things where it's just like, there's so much that people don't know about narcissism that is out there to learn so that other people can have a better understanding. And Michelle came across something that was so impactful that I felt it important to share. So as you know, I've talked about in previous videos about how a narcissist is created. Basically, the narcissist as a child doesn't bond in a healthy manner with the mother between the ages of what they believe is like 18 months to 36 months. That's the most important time. Extended from that, that to the extent of how bad the narcissism is probably dependent upon the child's experience up until the age of 4 or 5. From there, the narcissistic traits and behavior can be reinforced by having a bad childhood, probably up until the age of 15 or 16. And it comes back to the role of the mother in bonding with the child and nurturing it and connecting with it and basically showing it unconditional love. So the short version is the narcissist doesn't get the unconditional love that they need as an infant, and so they build these maladaptive coping mechanisms and basically to shield themselves so they can survive. And so the problem is that those maladaptive coping mechanisms persist, and like I said, through the childhood and even the teen years, they can be reinforced. So by the time the narcissist is an adult, to some extent, like the false self, those behaviors and traits are carved in stone. There's really not a whole lot that you can do as far as like everything I've read. At that point, that is who they are. And so I'm sure there's some people out there being like, oh, well, what about the self-aware narcissist? And and I am aware, and I'm referring to them, and they will be the first to admit they're not, quote, cured. They are a narcissist, and they will tell anyone who will listen that they will be a narcissist till the day they die. The narcissism does not go away simply because they become aware that that's who they are. They just learn to kind of cope with it so they can exist in, say, society or within their marriage, etc. So getting back, so as some psychologists would label it with the child and the childhood relationship to the mother, they end up having this mother wound. And so they are not able to experience the connection that they're yearning for, and basically that every child yearns for. And they, go through a strange process of, first idealizing their mother, even though she is either abusive or neglectful or switches back and forth between abusive and being nurturing, which really does a number on the infant and child. So, at that point, the child then grows older, and with this weird identification with the neglectful, abusive mother, and possibly that roller coaster of nurturing half the time and then abusive the other half of the time. And the weird part is that because they never receive the unconditional love that they were looking for and expecting and needed as an infant and as a child, they never separate from the mother in that to that extent, or in that way. So the way this, and this is where I'm going. So the way this plays out, and I have touched on this before, is that when the narcissist first meets someone, kind of does a little bit of vetting, like, are they empathetic? Are they high status? Do they see the best in people? And, one way to think about it is like that, those are traits that would make a good mother. Empathetic, nurturing, sees the good in people, not necessarily judgmental. And so they idealize the target, and in doing so, they're putting that person, the target, their partner, in the role of the mother that they never had. And so they're like, this is great. I finally get the mother I never had. I get unconditional love. This is what I've yearned for my entire life. And so this, comes out in the love bombing phase, and that goes on. And then there's that point where the target then, is doing like a feedback loop with the narcissist, but then reaches a point where they become comfortable with the relationship, and they say, okay, I don't need to idealize the narcissist. This is real. Like, this relationship's actually happening. This is wonderful. This is great. I accept the relationship. Like, this is real. And at that point, it's like the narcissist magically knows immediately, okay, this, the target is no longer idealizing me the way that they were just moments or days ago. And so that unconditional love is not there anymore. And so the narcissist goes through the devaluation phase. And this is where it gets really interesting. So as I said previously, the narcissist never separated in a psychological sense from the mother. And the narcissist is playing out this this role play of trying to get what they didn't have as a child, and it that part extends to separating from the mother. And so this is a part that Michelle explained today that just blew my mind. The devaluing phase of the relationship with the narcissist is analogous to the narcissist trying to separate from the mother. And that is why it is just this compulsion. And I mean, if anyone's, if you've experienced, there's nothing you can do about it. It is like a train. It might be slow. It might have a long way to go, but there's nothing stopping that train and it is going to reach the end of the line sooner or later. And that is what, the narcissist is doing through the devalue phase, is just slowly trying to separate from the target, from their partner. And it hurts like hell to be on the other side. I mean, let's be honest. If you've gone through it, it's one of the worst experiences you can have. I mean, I can't even think of something, that I can, bring up that would be equal to like the emotional pain of being devalued by someone that you thought you're going to spend the rest of your life with. But, back to the narcissist. So it is playing out where the narcissist is doing this because they're trying to, again, separate from you, because they were never able to separate in a healthy psychological manner from their mother. And so again, they're just playing this out. And it's also why they're so, I guess, vicious, is because, again, it's this compulsion. I mean, it is a compulsive behavior from the narcissist. I mean, it might be one of those strange things where if you ask the narcissist, like, why are you, doing this to this person? The narcissist might say, I don't know. That's just, or come up with reasons that don't make sense. But yeah. And so at the end of this, it can go two ways. I mean, one is the narcissist, ends the devalue phase. There's the discard, where one or the other people in the relationship leave physically, and then at that point, I know everyone talks about Hoover, all narcissists Hoover. No, they might, in my experience, they might check up, snoop on you, ask a friend of a friend of a friend. But as far as them texting you out of nowhere or showing up on your doorstep, maybe some do, but I don't think all do. And in that respect, again, honestly, I think that's, plays back into that, where it's like, okay, they tried to separate from the mother. They thought that they got there, but they're still feeling that pain of not being, able to reach that point. And so they might Hoover, get back into your life, be nice. I've heard people describe the narcissist even doing like a mini love bombing, and then just devaluing and discarding again. And again, like I think it's just this weird compulsion, again, that the narcissist feels in this vain attempt to finally feel that they've separated from their mother in the healthy psychological way that they never did. And again, we all know how the story ends. It doesn't work. They repeat this kind of role play over and over and over for the rest of their lives. They never get the unconditional love from their mother that they needed as an infant, and they never are able to separate themselves from the mother in a healthy psychological way. And so they're kind of like doomed to repeat this for the rest of their lives. So hopefully this video's been helpful. Thanks.